All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Corey Andrews, and I'm excited to share with you on this learning and teaching interaction about some of the thoughts I've had as we've been learning these last couple weeks and preparing our workshops and our family teaching experiences. Second. There we go. So the first thing I'd like to share a little bit about is the purpose of Family Life Education Code of Ethics that we've been discussing. And as I started to think about this, I was trying to think of, I guess, an analogy that showed the importance of having a code of ethics. And I thought of this analogy, and I hope it makes sense, but I thought of how computer programmers have to know a language code. And I don't know a whole lot about this. I have a brother-in-law who does it a lot, and most of it's just over my head. I don't get it. But I do understand that there is a code, some kind of language that they have to understand to be able to create a program. And I think it's the same for us. We have to be able to understand this code so that we can create an effective, working, powerful program. So I'm grateful for the code of ethics that we had and the opportunity I had to learn about it. And I feel like it's going to make me a better family life educator. The code of ethics establishes 4 main things for family life educators. First is the growth and maturity in the field, meaning that we have the power to impact and even harm others with how we approach certain topics and situations. I think this is essential for us to understand the power that we have, not to the point where we become prideful about it, but to the point where we are humbled by it and realize that what we say, what we do, how we act will influence others as they come to our workshops, as they come and meet with us. We will have an impact on others and their families. Not only them, but our impact can go further. As a missionary, that's something that I realized in teaching the gospel, that as I impacted individuals, I wasn't only impacting individuals, but families and future families and future posterity. And that's the same way with us. Families are important to Heavenly Father, and He wants us to realize and treat them with respect. Possibility of doing harm increases as you move through the levels. So as we move up through the levels of giving information, addressing emotional issues to family intervention, the more impact we can have for good or for bad. And so I think it's important that we understand these ethics, and that part of it is understanding what we can do and what effect we can have. Second is we work with diverse families. I get excited when I meet people of diversity. I guess everybody is diverse in their own way, but having the opportunity, I served as a missionary in California, but I got to speak the Hmong language, and it's fun to learn about different cultures and different people, and to understand where they came from and why they're the people that they are. So it can be very exciting. At the same time, we must be very respectful. We can offend people in different ways if we don't seek to understand. A code of ethics will help us professionals learn how to address the conflicting beliefs, cultures, and parenting practices that come with diverse groups of people. The more diversity, the more moral dilemmas we may have to face because of cultural and belief issues that may conflict with our moral understanding. Number 3, we are held accountable as professionals with a code of ethics. Establishing a code of ethics means that we are being held at a higher standard. We are moving up a level. We are becoming something stronger because of our standards. Another analogy that I guess I had for this is that Heavenly Father, He has standards for us. He's given us His law and His commandments, and those commandments, we may feel like some people may feel like they bind us, or they keep us down, or they keep us from freedom. And some people could feel that way about a code of ethics. However, really truly, they set us free. They allow us to have more of an impact and allow us to strengthen others and also be better ourselves. And so that's the way I like to view this code of ethics. This lifts us to a new level and helps us to be recognized as valuable educators in our field. And then number 4 is an increase in the number of programs. The Code of Ethics establishes clear standards and moral behaviors that need to be lived up to. All right, moving on. Some of the key ethics that I guess stood out to me. I think they're all important, but these are just a few that I had some thoughts on. One is I will communicate respectfully and clearly with all family members. Communication to me is one of the most important things we're supposed to learn here in life, is how to communicate effectively. And I'm definitely not perfect at it, and I have a lot to learn, but I feel like communication, we are asked to communicate in so many ways. We're asked to communicate as leaders. We're asked to communicate as families. We're asked to communicate with our Father in heaven through prayer, and learning how to communicate in these ways, and learning how to communicate specifically with families and members of a family can strengthen us. We build trust. One of the things I thought of when thinking of communication is having integrity in our communication, that we can build trust as we're honest with those that we communicate with, that we're not trying to, I think we need to be careful to try to manipulate, but that we shouldn't do that, but that we should be honest and helpful and clear with what we're trying to say. And what we're trying to help them do. Understanding communication limitations. Again, in my experience as a missionary, there were some limitations in the communication that I had with others, and sometimes it could cause some misunderstandings. I think we need to be clear and seek to understand the communication limitations that some people might have, whether it's speaking a different language or whether it's maybe a mental challenge or disability. And the next one that I really thought was important was I will respect cultural backgrounds and differences and engage in practices that are sensitive to the diversity of child rearing values. I think first we need to seek to understand before we can truly be understood. And as we respect backgrounds and cultures and practices and seek to understand them, that maybe we'll learn some things as well. Finally, I will advocate for children and youth and their best interests at the same time, that we work with parents and other family members. Parents, and as we work with in my specific workshop and in my current employment, I work with the youth, and what a blessing that is. But I've realized that the more I've had the opportunity to work with and teach the youth, that I must respect their parents and must realize that they are the true leaders and the true parents, the guides for their children, and I'm only here to assist them in their responsibilities and assist them in what they want to accomplish. And as I do that, as I humble myself and do that, then I can be more effective as a leader and as a teacher. Ethical theories in family life education. I know I'm running out of time, so I'll kind of make this part quick, but the documents that we studied on ethical thinking and practice contain 3 different approaches: a principle approach, relational ethics, and virtue ethics. And I really liked studying about these and learning about the virtue ethics specifically, which include caring, the disposition to support the well-being of family members as decision makers in their own lives. And I think that is part of caring, and what I've already discussed briefly. Prudence and practical wisdom, the ability to understand competing needs in complex situations and make decisions based on reflection and consultation with peers. And I think also in our understanding, wisdom can come from also the scriptures, maybe not specifically sharing that with people we're teaching, but we can gain wisdom and answers to some of our questions through the scriptures as well. Hope and optimism. I think we should always be hopeful with those that we work with, and have an optimistic attitude about them and their future, and in turn that can rub off and can affect them for good. Finally, having a code of ethics is the most prevalent way to monitor ethical behavior. Carefully described expectations for personal behavior and reflects important professional values. One of the downsides is that codes are not grounded in theories, and most professionals in their field are unfamiliar with their code of ethics. But thankfully, we have the opportunity to learn about this code of ethics and become familiar with it and make it a part of us. And I know that as we do that, as we make them a habit, that is deeply ingrained way of thinking that permeates our interaction with family members and other professionals. It becomes part of our moral character. It helps us to be both moral and effective professionals, not only in our professional life, but I know that these principles can help us in our many of these principles can help us in our day-to-day life too. So I am grateful for the opportunity to learn and to share these thoughts with you about moral ethics and the ethics of family life education. I know that they can help us, and I know that they can help us help others. And so thank you.